Hello again. Millions of commuters in Germany are struggling to get from A to B today because train drivers there have gone on strike over pay and working conditions, and they say they're not going to tell them when they go back to work, i.e. it's indefinite. The railway operator Deutsche Bahn warns passengers about the strike disruption on its website. It is the 9th walkout in 10 months to hit the industry. Aside from commuter services, 2 in 3 long-haul trains have been cancelled too. Some estimates say the latest stoppage could cost Germany €100 million a day. And it's only the latest in a string of walkouts spanning major industries nationwide. As Peter Oliver reports.
2015 in Germany is rapidly becoming the year of the strike.
10 years there weren't hardly any wage increases, and now the economy is booming like hell and the people want a piece of the cake.
It started with the automotive industry in winter. In spring it was the turn of the airlines. Now train drivers have downed tools. Workers and unions in Germany are determined to make themselves heard. The latest train strike is the second in as many weeks and the 9th walkout in less than a year.
There has been so much strike action because people feel they have to defend themselves from frozen wages and demand better salaries and working conditions. Some people have made millions from these companies, so it's time those profits were distributed fairly.
But those demands come with a price. The previous week-long strike by the train drivers' union, demanding a 5% wage hike and shorter working hours, cost Deutsche Bahn, the German rail operator, around €750 million, which doesn't bode well for the latest walkout.
This strike will harm certain parts of the economy that are dependent on rail. It's not only financial. This also hurts rail as a brand. People may think twice in the future about using trains to transport goods.
Already in 2015, twice as many working days have been lost to industrial action than in the whole of last year. It's not just limited to planes, trains and automobiles either. Metal workers, kindergarten teachers, postal workers and employees of electronics giant Siemens have all taken strike action in the last 5 months. And what's sure to be concerning to the train company as much as commuters, no time limit has been set on this latest action. Clearly, Germany's train workers and others aren't happy with their current working conditions. But as industrial action continues without any real end in sight, ultimately, how much will this end up costing the country's economy? Peter Oliver, RT in Berlin.
A group of British MPs are in the US right now lobbying for the release of a British citizen from Guantanamo Bay prison. Last week there were protests in London calling for Shaka Ammer, who's been held without trial or charge, to be freed.
Our work.
Shaka Ammer is the father of 4 and has never even seen his youngest child. At one time, the US Army translator he was. He's been detained in Guantanamo prison for more than 13 years now. He was suspected of having terrorism links, but was also twice cleared for release. RT correspondent Manuel Rapolo takes a look next and at the diplomatic efforts ongoing to pull Ammer from political and legal limbo.
This isn't the first time that this issue has been brought up by high British officials. We can point to a recent trip by Prime Minister David Cameron, who met with President Obama about just that. Now, this delegation of Parliament members here in Washington are hoping to convince senior U.S. officials to expedite the release of Shaka Ammer. Now, RT did get a chance to catch up with 2 of these Parliament members and obtain exclusive interviews. Take a listen to that.
We're concerned for his future, we're concerned for his health, and we're concerned for justice because there's no charge against him, there's been no legal process against him. He's a man who should be freed.
We got across our point. We met a great deal of sympathy from the Senator and gave us a very good hearing, and we're hopeful that that will increase the momentum.
This trip by British Parliament members also arrives on the heels of demonstrations in Great Britain urging for the release of Shaka Ammer. Now, the U.S. government has held a total of 9 prisoners, including Ammer, since the start of the war on terror. Of course, this trip and these demonstrations that we've seen also underscores the much larger issue of closing down the Guantanamo prison facility once and for all. Manuel Rapalo, RT, Washington.
Next, Islamic State fighters have set their sights on the ancient Syrian city of Palmyra, and they're just 2 kilometers away from it. RT Arabic obtained this exclusive video from inside the tense city. The only thing keeping Islamic State at bay right now is the Syrian army, which has control of the nearby heights, giving it a massive strategic advantage at the moment. A lot of refugees from nearby villages overrun by ISIS have previously fled to Palmyra.
Every home in Palmyra has taken from 5 to 15 refugee families from such areas as Al-Amiri, Al-Malif. They all need help.
The Syrian army and the People's Self-Defense Forces were able to repel the terrorist attack on the city of Palmyra. Today, most of the areas of the city live in peace and safety.
Elsewhere around the world, there's been a massive oil spill near Santa Barbara in California. To update you on, a pipeline leaked approximately 21,000 gallons of crude there. Some of it made it into the ocean. It took the Coast Guard about 3 hours to fix the leak. The company operating the pipelines already suffered 2 recent spills and has allegedly violated the Clean Air Act. Students demanding educational reform have protested in the city of Santiago, where they were met by police water cannon. They're also commemorating 2 protesters who were killed during a demonstration last week. Students in Chile have been rallying for free education since 2011. An unexploded World War II bomb has been discovered in the German city of Hanover. The 250-kilogram explosive was found by construction workers during the demolition of an old school. The dangerous device was safely defused, but as a precaution, thousands had to be evacuated from the area first. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko says Kiev is engaged in a real war with Russia. He made the statement during an interview with the BBC. A truce between Kiev and anti-government forces has largely been holding in the east of Ukraine since February. But in the same interview, Poroshenko also said that Ukraine was bracing itself for a Russian summer offensive. However, France and Germany's leaders have just reiterated that a peace deal they helped broker is the only solution to the crisis.
Nous sentons engagés, la chancelière et moi-même, après les accords de Minsk. Et lorsque la chancelière rencontre le président Poutine, lorsque moi-même je rencontre le président ukrainien, le Premier ministre, nous tenons le même langage. C'est le respect de l'accord de Minsk.
Dass es ein schwieriger Prozess in kleinen Schritten ist, aber es gibt auch kleine Erfolge, zum Beispiel, dass jetzt Arbeitsgruppen eingerichtet wurden.
Geopolitical analyst Eric Drater spoke to us and thinks that Poroshenko's remarks are just a bid to buy time.
What we're actually seeing are the, let's say, the machinations of a very, very precarious situation for the Ukrainian government, for Poroshenko, because on the one hand, he has an economy that's collapsing. He has a war that he knows he cannot win. He sees a political situation collapsing around him, and he pushes forward with really the only possible path, which is escalation and threats, because he understands that any escalation is going to make the political situation internationally more difficult, thereby giving Kiev cover and essentially buying time for himself.
It's 5:25 here in Moscow now. The next live update then with me, Kevin O, in 35 minutes from now. After the break, coming up, someone who's always got something to say that's always worth listening to. Peter's here with Crosstalk, debating the rivalry between Beijing and Washington in the South China Sea.